Hello, and welcome to Snaply, your new favorite channel for deep-diving documentaries. Today, we are going to take a long, exciting journey into the world of Marvel Comics. We will explore how some of Marvel's most popular characters, especially Moon Knight and Black Panther, are inspired by the real gods and legends of ancient Egypt. We will see how Marvel uses ancient Egyptian figures like Anubis, Sekhmet, and Osiris to add depth, mystery, and beauty to their stories. In this video, we will break down the ways in which Marvel Comics mix historical facts with creative storytelling. We will look at the characters, the plots, and even the artwork, all of which are filled with Egyptian symbols and ideas. We will also talk about how these myth-based stories connect with fans not only in the United States, United Kingdom, and Canada, but also in the Middle East and North Africa, MENA region. So, sit back, relax, and let's begin our journey through time, from the sands of ancient Egypt to the modern pages of Marvel Comics. Marvel Comics has always been a place where myths and legends come to life. Many of its heroes and villains draw inspiration from cultures all over the world. Among these cultures, ancient Egypt holds a very special place. The stories of gods, goddesses, kings, and mysteries of Egypt have long fascinated people everywhere. It is a land of powerful gods, monumental temples, and secrets hidden in the hieroglyphs on ancient walls. When Marvel started creating characters, the idea of connecting modern heroes with ancient gods was very appealing. These characters, like Moon Knight and Black Panther, not only fight evil but also carry with them hints of ancient wisdom and power. The influence of Egyptian mythology is seen in many ways, through the names of characters, the design of costumes, and the art that tells these timeless stories. Marvel's creators have often done research into the old myths and legends. They have taken real facts about Egyptian gods and mixed them with a little bit of magic and adventure. This blending of history and fantasy allows the stories to feel both realistic and larger than life. It is a careful balance between respecting ancient history and creating something new and exciting for readers. In the pages of Marvel Comics, we see gods like Khonshu, the Egyptian moon god, who is closely tied to Moon Knight. We also see echoes of gods like Anubis, the god of the afterlife, in the themes of death and rebirth. Similarly, the fierce energy of Sekhmet, a goddess of war and healing, appears in characters who combine strength with the need for justice. And the idea of Osiris, the god who is reborn, adds a layer of mystery about life, death, and transformation. But why do these ancient stories still matter today? For many fans, these myths are more than just old tales. They remind us that every culture has its own heroes and legends. When Marvel tells a story inspired by these myths, it connects with people who see a part of their own history and culture in the pages of a comic book. This connection is strong. Yet in many parts of the world, including the US, UK, Canada, and the MENA region. Let's take a closer look at two Marvel heroes who show these influences in unique and interesting ways: Moon Knight and Black Panther. Moon Knight is one of Marvel's most intriguing characters. He first appeared in the comics in the 1970s, and he has a deep connection with ancient Egyptian mythology. Moon Knight's story begins with a man who is chosen by the Egyptian moon, god Khonshu. This god is known for watching over the night and guiding lost souls. In the comics, Moon Knight is sometimes seen as the earthly vessel for Khonshu's power. Moon Knight's real name is Mark Spector, and he is a complex character with a troubled past. Once a mercenary, Mark finds himself at a crossroads in life. His journey leads him to Egypt, where he encounters the ancient god, Khonshu. The god offers him a second chance, a chance to fight evil and protect the innocent. Mark accepts this offer, and his life is forever changed. He becomes Moon Knight, a hero with a unique connection to the mysteries of Egypt. In Moon Knight's stories, every aspect of his character is infused with Egyptian symbols. His costume is decorated with imagery that reminds us of ancient Egyptian art. You can see hieroglyphics and patterns that look like they were carved in stone thousands of years ago. These design choices are not random. They are a tribute to the ancient culture that inspires him. One clear example is the crescent shape that appears in his costume and in many scenes throughout his comics. The crescent is a symbol of the moon, and it directly connects to Khonshu, the moon god. This simple yet powerful symbol tells the reader that Moon Knight is not just any hero. He is a hero chosen by the gods. Another important part of Moon Knight's character is the theme of death and rebirth. In ancient Egyptian mythology, the god Osiris represents the cycle of death and resurrection. Osiris was once a king who died and was brought back to life. His story is one of hope and the possibility of renewal. Moon Knight's story often mirrors this cycle. He has faced death many times in the comics, only to return stronger and more determined. This theme resonates with readers because it reminds us that even after the darkest moments, there is a chance for a new beginning. It is a very human idea, wrapped in the mystery of ancient myth. One of the reasons why Moon Knight's story feels so real is because of his struggle with identity. Mark Spector suffers from mental health issues and sometimes has multiple personalities. This internal conflict can be seen as a modern reflection of the eternal struggle between light and darkness, a common theme in Egyptian mythology. The idea that a single person can be torn between different sides of themselves is something that many people can relate to. It adds depth to Moon Knight and makes his story much more than a simple tale of good versus evil. In the comic book series, Moon Knight from the Dead, readers see a clear connection between Moon Knight's personal struggles and the themes of ancient Egyptian mythology. In one scene, Moon Knight finds himself in a mysterious tomb filled with hieroglyphics that tell the story of Khonshu. As he reads these ancient symbols, he is reminded of his own resurrection and the weight of the responsibility that comes with his powers. The tomb is not just a backdrop. It is a living piece of history that speaks to him and to all of us about the enduring power of ancient myths. This storyline is a perfect example of how Marvel uses simple, powerful images from Egyptian culture to tell a modern story. The tomb and the hieroglyphics create a bridge between the past and the present. They remind us that even in the modern world, the lessons of ancient history can guide us. Moon Knight is not just fighting villains, he is also battling the inner demons that come with his unique connection to a long-forgotten past. Black Panther is another Marvel hero who carries the legacy of ancient cultures. Although Black Panther is most closely tied to Wakanda, a fictional African nation rich in its own traditions and history, there are moments in his story where the influence of ancient Egyptian mythology can be seen. Wakanda is a nation that prides itself on its deep history and the preservation of ancient knowledge. While it is not Egypt, Wakanda shares many similarities with ancient African civilizations. It is a place where technology and tradition go hand in hand. The people of Wakanda honor their ancestors, and this respect for the past is similar to the reverence ancient Egyptians had for their gods and legends. In Black Panther's world, there is a strong connection to the spiritual realm. The nation of Wakanda is often shown to have its own set of beliefs and rituals that echo the practices of ancient cultures, including Egypt. One example is the use of animal symbols and sacred icons. While Black Panther himself is more directly connected with the spirit of the panther, the imagery around him sometimes nods to ancient deities. For instance, the Egyptian goddess Bast, who was worshipped as a protector and a symbol of strength, has a strong connection to the animal kingdom. Although Marvel sometimes blends the character of Bastet with aspects of other deities, the influence of ancient Egyptian symbolism is clear. The panther, a creature both feared and revered in many ancient cultures, becomes a symbol of power and resilience in Wakanda. Black Panther's story is very much about cultural pride and the importance of heritage. The character of T'Challa, the Black Panther, is a king who must balance modern challenges with the traditions of his people. This dual role is similar to the way ancient gods often served as both protectors and rulers in their myths. T'Challa's struggle to honor his past while facing new dangers shows that the wisdom of the ancients can be just as relevant today as it was thousands of years ago. One of the more memorable parts of Black Panther's story is the depiction of traditional rituals that take place in Wakanda. In some comics, you will see scenes that are filled with symbolic art, reminiscent of the murals and reliefs found in ancient Egyptian temples. The use of masks, elaborate costumes, and ceremonial practices in these scenes draws a strong parallel with the ancient rituals of Egypt. For example, in a well-known storyline, T'Challa participates in a ritual that is meant to connect him with the spirits of his ancestors. The setting, the music, and the visual symbols in this scene are all carefully chosen to evoke the feeling of an ancient ceremony. This scene is not only a feast for the eyes but also a reminder that every modern hero has deep roots in the traditions of their culture. Even though Black Panther's story is set in a high-tech future, the echoes of ancient myths remind us that the past is never far away. Now that we have looked at two of Marvel's heroes, let's dive deeper into the Egyptian gods themselves. Marvel Comics uses many of these gods to add layers of meaning and excitement to their stories. We will look at three important figures: Anubis, Sekhmet, and Osiris. Anubis is one of the most famous gods of ancient Egypt. He is the god of mummification and the afterlife, responsible for guiding souls through the dangerous journey of the underworld. In Marvel Comics, the themes associated with Anubis often appear in stories of death, judgment, and rebirth. Even if Anubis does not always appear as a character in the traditional sense, his influence is felt in many stories. For example, in some Moon Knight comics, there are hints of Anubis's power in the way that the hero is drawn to ancient tombs and haunted ruins. The dark corridors and shadowy figures that appear in these scenes remind us of the mysteries of the afterlife that Anubis governs. The jackal, which is the animal symbol for Anubis, is often used in the artwork of Marvel Comics to evoke a sense of the otherworldly. You might notice that some panels have a small jackal insignia or a hint of a jackal silhouette in the background. This is a subtle way of reminding us that the themes of death and judgment are part of the hero's journey. The image of Anubis teaches us that even in a world filled with superpowers, the natural cycle of life and death is always at work. Sekhmet is another powerful goddess from ancient Egypt. She is known for her fierce temper, her strength in battle, and her role as both a healer and a destroyer. In Marvel Comics, the influence of Sekhmet can be seen in characters and storylines that mix the ideas of strength, rage, and healing. When you look at the art in some Marvel Comics, especially in scenes involving intense battles or powerful magic, you might see elements that remind you of Sekhmet's image. The fierce lioness or the red, blazing imagery can often be linked back to this goddess. In some panels, the brush strokes or color choices seem to capture the wild energy that Sekhmet is known for. Sekhmet is a reminder that power can be both destructive and restorative. This idea appears in many Marvel storylines. For instance, when a hero faces a difficult enemy or a moral dilemma, the struggle between using power for destruction or for healing becomes very real. Marvel shows us that every force of power, no matter how strong, is balanced by its opposite. This balance is at the heart of Sekhmet's story and is a theme that many readers find both challenging and inspiring. Osiris is one of the most important gods in ancient Egyptian mythology. He represents death and rebirth, showing that life is a cycle that never truly ends. His story is one of loss, hope, and renewal. In Marvel Comics, the theme of resurrection is a common thread, especially in the stories of heroes like Moon Knight. Osiris's influence is often seen in the idea that death is not the end. In the comics, many characters experience moments where they are brought back from the brink, much like Osiris was reborn. This theme can be seen as a nod to the ancient belief that every end brings with it a new beginning. In several Marvel storylines, you might notice visual cues that remind you of Osiris's story. The use of green and gold colors, the depiction of decay alongside new growth, and the recurring idea that heroes can come back stronger after a fall are all elements that mirror the legend of Osiris. His story gives hope to readers, showing that even when everything seems lost, there is always a chance for revival and renewal. One of the most impressive things about Marvel Comics is how they balance real historical facts with the needs of a modern, exciting story. It is not easy to take ancient myths and make them feel fresh and relevant, but Marvel does this very well. The creators at Marvel do a lot of research to make sure that they respect the source material. They study ancient texts, visit museums, and sometimes consult with experts on Egyptian history. This careful work helps them create a world that feels authentic. Even if some details are changed to fit the story, the spirit of ancient Egypt, it is always present. For example, the depictions of Egyptian gods in the comics might not be exactly the same as the old texts, but they capture the essence of what these gods meant to the people of ancient Egypt. This approach shows respect for the original myths while still allowing for creative freedom. In every Moon Knight or Black Panther comic that features elements of Egyptian mythology, you will notice a blend of fact and fiction. The historical facts, the names of gods, the symbols used in art, the stories passed down through generations, are mixed with modern storytelling elements like action, mystery, and drama. This blend makes the stories both educational and entertaining. Consider a storyline where Moon Knight discovers an ancient tomb hidden beneath the streets of modern Cairo. Inside, he finds carvings that tell the story of Khonshu and hint at the existence of other gods like Anubis and Osiris. The tomb is full of accurate details about Egyptian burial practices and the way hieroglyphics were used to tell stories. At the same time, the tomb is a setting for thrilling battles and mystical encounters that would not have happened in ancient times. This combination of accurate history with exciting fiction makes the story compelling for a wide audience. The art in Marvel Comics plays a big role in this balancing act. The artists use styles that remind us of ancient Egyptian murals and reliefs. They use bold colors, intricate patterns, and a mix of light and shadow that makes the ancient world feel alive on the page. This artistic style is not just for show, it helps tell the story. The careful use of symbols and imagery draws readers into a world where every panel is filled with meaning. When you see a character like Moon Knight standing in front of a wall covered in hieroglyphics, you know that there is a deeper story behind his actions. The art and the story work together to create a rich tapestry that honors the past while telling a new tale. The artwork in Marvel Comics is one of the most striking ways that ancient Egyptian mythology is brought to life. Let's take a closer look at how artists use visual symbols and techniques to pay tribute to Egypt's past. Hieroglyphics are one of the first images that come to mind when we think of ancient Egypt. In many Marvel comics, especially those featuring Moon Knight, you will see hieroglyphics in the background or even integrated into the costumes. These symbols are not just decorative, they tell a story. Each hieroglyph has a meaning, a word or an idea that adds depth to the panels. For example, a panel might show Moon Knight in a dark alley, with hieroglyphics glowing softly on a wall. The symbols might include images of the sun, the moon, or even specific gods like Anubis. Each symbol is a clue to the larger story. It tells the reader that there's an ancient mystery hidden beneath the modern world. Another way that Marvel artists bring Egyptian mythology into their work is through the use of color. Ancient Egyptian art often used bold, vibrant colors. Reds, blues, and golds were common, and they still hold strong meaning today. In Moon Knight's comics, for example, you might see flashes of gold or deep blue that remind you of the ancient temples of Egypt. Light and shadow also play an important role. Just as the sun plays a key role in Egyptian mythology, think of the sun god Ra. The interplay of light and dark is a recurring theme in Marvel's artwork. The contrast between light and shadow is used to represent the eternal struggle between good and evil, a theme that is at the heart of both ancient myths and modern superhero stories. What is truly amazing is how modern comic art can make ancient symbols feel new. Marvel's artists use digital techniques and modern storytelling methods to reimagine the old myths in a way that feels fresh. A modern rendition of a god like Sekhmet might mix traditional imagery with a modern twist, showing her as both, fierce and elegant. This creative fusion allows new generations to connect with stories that are thousands of years old. One of the most talked-about pieces of artwork in recent Marvel history is the cover of Moon Knight, The Tomb of Shadows. The cover shows Moon Knight standing in front of a towering temple with ancient hieroglyphics and statues of gods lining the walls. In one corner, a small image of a jackal, symbolizing Anubis, can be seen. The colors are deep and rich, and the use of shadow makes the scene feel mysterious and alive. One of the reasons Marvel Comics has such a wide appeal is because its stories resonate with people from many different cultures and backgrounds. The mix of ancient mythology and modern adventure creates a universal language that crosses borders. Let's explore how these stories connect with audiences in the United States, United Kingdom, Canada, and the MENA region. In the United States, Marvel Comics has always been a part of popular culture. American readers have grown up with stories of superheroes, battles between good and evil, and larger-than-life characters. When Marvel introduces elements of ancient Egyptian mythology, it adds another layer of interest. It shows that the heroes we love are connected to a deep, rich history that goes far beyond modern times. American audiences appreciate the way Marvel respects the past while creating something new. They enjoy the mix of fact and fiction, and many find that these stories encourage them to learn more about ancient cultures. The blend of action and history makes the stories feel both entertaining and educational. In the United Kingdom, there is a long tradition of storytelling and a deep interest in history. British readers often enjoy narratives that mix the old with the new, and Marvel's use of Egyptian mythology fits right into that tradition. The ancient symbols and themes found in comics like Moon Knight offer a different kind of adventure, journey into the mystical and the historical at the same time. British audiences have a keen eye for detail, and they often notice the subtle nods to real history in the artwork and storylines. This attention to detail makes the comics even more appealing. When readers see a reference to an ancient god or a historical fact that is woven into the story, it gives them a sense of discovery and connection to the past. Canada is a country with a diverse population and a strong appreciation for multicultural stories. Marvel's inclusion of ancient Egyptian mythology in its comics has found a warm reception in Canada. Readers here value stories that bring together different cultures and traditions. The themes of rebirth, transformation, and the eternal struggle between light and dark resonate with many Canadian fans. Canadian readers also enjoy the visual artistry of Marvel Comics. The blend of modern comic art with ancient symbols creates a unique aesthetic that stands out, on the shelves. This artistic fusion is seen as both innovative and respectful of the rich heritage of ancient Egypt. For fans in the Middle East and North Africa, the connection to ancient Egyptian mythology is even more direct and personal. Egypt is a cornerstone of the region's history and culture. When Marvel Comics draws on Egyptian myths, it resonates deeply with readers who have grown up hearing these stories from their own families and communities. In the MENA region, the Ati portrayal of Egyptian gods and symbols in Marvel Comics is a source of pride. It is a reminder that their ancient history is not just a relic of the past, but a living, breathing part of the modern world. Fans in this region appreciate that Marvel has taken care to respect the original myths and present them in a way that is both exciting and true to their cultural heritage. The influence of Egyptian mythology in Marvel Comics is not limited to the pages of comic books. It has also spilled over into movies, television shows, and even video games. This section explores how the blending of ancient myths with modern narratives has inspired a broader range of media. Marvel's cinematic universe has begun to explore these myth-based stories in new ways. In movies, the influence of ancient Egypt can be seen in the costumes, the set designs, and even in the music. Directors and production designers use real historical references to create worlds that feel both futuristic and deeply rooted in the past. A movie scene might show a modern city with hints of ancient architecture peeking through, or a flashback sequence that uses authentic Egyptian motifs to set the tone. One movie that captures this blend is a recent adaptation of a Moon Knight story. In one scene, the hero is seen walking through a labyrinthine underground temple with ancient symbols glowing on the walls. The scene is shot with careful attention to lighting and color, evoking the mystery of an ancient tomb. It is a beautiful example of how ancient myths can be reimagined for the modern screen. Video games are another medium where Marvel's myth-based stories have found new life. Games based on Marvel characters often allow players to explore the environments inspired by ancient Egypt. In these games, players might navigate through pyramids, solve puzzles based on hieroglyphics, or even battle enemies in settings that look like ancient temples. The interactive nature of video games means that players not only read about ancient myths, they experience them firsthand. This immersive experience deepens their connection to the story and the history behind it. The artistic influence of ancient Egyptian mythology in Marvel Comics has also led to unique merchandise and even art exhibitions. Fans can find clothing, posters, and collectibles that feature a blend of modern superhero designs with ancient symbols. Some art galleries have even hosted exhibitions showcasing the evolution of Marvel's Egyptian-inspired artwork. These exhibitions highlight how modern comic art can serve as a bridge between the present and a rich, ancient past. In conclusion, Marvel Comics has done a wonderful job of taking the rich, complex stories of ancient Egypt and turning them into exciting, modern adventures. Through characters like Moon Knight and Black Panther, the legacy of gods like Anubis, Sekhmet, and Osiris is brought into the light of the modern world. The mix of historical fact and creative storytelling is what makes these comics so special. These stories remind us that the past is not something to be forgotten, but a source of wisdom and inspiration. They show that even in a world filled with modern technology and fast-paced action, there is always room for ancient wisdom. Whether you are from the US, the UK, Canada, or the MENA region, the themes of death, rebirth, honor, and the eternal struggle between light and darkness are universal. They speak to something deep inside all of us, connecting us to a history that is as old as time itself. At Snaply, we believe that every story has layers waiting to be uncovered. The rich tapestry of ancient Egyptian mythology and modern comic storytelling is one such story. It is a story that continues to evolve with each new comic, movie, and game, It is a story that invites us all to look back, learn, and then step boldly into the future with new knowledge and understanding. As we close today's documentary, remember that the past and the present are more connected than we sometimes think. Ancient. Gods may seem far away in time, but their stories live on in the heroes we admire today. And as long as there are storytellers who are passionate about history and creativity, these myths will continue to inspire and transform the world. Thank you once again for watching this deep dive into Marvel Comics and the rich world of ancient Egyptian mythology. I hope this documentary has sparked your curiosity and inspired you to explore more about the connections between our past and our present. If you have any thoughts, questions, or ideas about today's topic, please leave a comment below. I would love to hear your opinions and learn about your favorite moments in Marvel's myth-based stories. Don't forget to subscribe to Snaply for more fascinating documentaries and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Until our next journey into the world of history, art, and culture, stay curious and keep exploring. This is Snaply, signing off. May the light of ancient wisdom guide you always.